Hey everyone, Hannah here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about communication. Just to give a little warning right up off the front, this is a very heavy video, and I talk a lot about some of my own personal thoughts that led me to a place where I was considering suicide. And so if you're at all sensitive to that kind of information, please click away from the video now. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Communication has always been something that I have struggled with, but it's something that I have worked on very hard over the past few years, and I think I have come to a much better place of understanding exactly how open communication should be. I truly believe that communication is something that will lead to ultimate happiness. I have found that as I have communicated more effectively and more frequently with people in my life has only gotten better. Let's start at the beginning, adolescence. As a child, I always struggled to convey my thoughts and emotions to everyone around me. I felt like there was something different about me, but I couldn't quite identify what it was, and that scared me, so I just didn't really talk to anybody about what I was feeling. Thankfully, the therapist that I was seeing at the time, and actually still see currently today, was able to recognize the warning signs from what I was saying in my sessions and was able to get me admitted into somewhere for some help that I desperately needed. I had not realized that if I had just put my words to paper or had brought them up to somebody else, that I may have been able to find a solution to feel a little bit better about the problems that I had at the time. So, when I was admitted into the psychiatric facility for adolescents, the very first thing they talked about and talked about very frequently was communication. And it really is a very important part to anybody's happiness. The more you're able to communicate, the better you are able to understand the world around you, and the better the world around you is able to understand you. This helps you feel fulfilled and ultimately just brings you more happiness. I came to realize that I did not have a constructive support group at home. Even though I had my therapist that I was able to confide into, I found that I wasn't giving her as much knowledge as she deserved because I just wasn't used to the idea of opening up to people. As I continued to open up to my therapist, life became a lot easier. And as I continued to open up to some close friends that I had at the time, I realized that they could be a shoulder to lean on during times of stress as well. Then I got my first job. I was instantly surrounded with many people who had been living life a lot longer than I had, so of course they were a little bit better at communication. It was amazing to me how everybody that I worked with not only wanted to hear about my life, but wanted to tell me about theirs too. It was this idea of leaning on somebody else and having them lean back on you to get through the tough times that you're going through. I went from having a couple people in my life that I felt like I could genuinely trust to having dozens of people that I would talk to every single day at work. It really was an extremely positive change for my life. Instead of talking to people in and around my life about the issues I was having, I would instead just go harder into drugs to be able to forget about the problems that I was having. By not confronting the issues that I had and by not talking to people about constructive ways to get through them, I did not have the current tools to be able to get through the situations I was dealing with, and that just made my drug use all the more dangerous. So, as I continued to spiral further into addiction, I knew that I needed some serious change in my life. That was when I was admitted into rehab. When I was admitted into rehab, life felt like it had hit a big reset button. Suddenly, had all of these people around me that, again, wanted to confide into me, and I wanted to confide in them. And not only that, but I felt like I could connect to them on a very deep level because they were sharing the same exact issues that I was having in my life. Even though their drug of choice may have been different, they were still struggling with the same feelings of isolation and loneliness that I was feeling from my drug use. After rehab, it became clear that I had to rebuild those connections with people close to me. Fortunately enough for myself, my friends and family had not gone away from my life during the time when I was in active addiction. They had instead sat by the sidelines and waited for me to come to them. I knew for myself the only way to foster a healthy life and a healthy recovery long term was to keep communication open and talk to people about all of the issues that I was having. That way, if I was going through some trouble and some warning signs started to come up, they might be able to notice those warning signs before I noticed them in myself. Then I met my fiance, Sage. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that communication has been the biggest thing that has helped our relationship stay together this long. It was amazing to me as soon as I met her that she was somebody I could easily confide into. And even though at this point I was very comfortable with confiding in most people, I found that the words just flowed easier and that things just seemed to be a little bit lighter every single day. It now comes as no surprise to me why my relationships of the past did not last long. It was because I was not communicating effectively with the person that I was trying to foster a relationship with, and since they didn't know exactly how I was feeling about anything in our lives from life to work to a relationship, they were not able to ascertain exactly how to help me. And likewise, I was not listening to the people that I was trying to form these relationships with. So as soon as I began to open that line of communication when I met Sage, it seemed like everything just worked out perfectly. They say that everything happens for a reason, and I really think that I adapted to this idea of communication and open and honest communication at the perfect time because I was meant to have Sage and meet her at that time. So that's my story about how communication has changed my life for the better. I hope that by listening to my story and my struggles, you are able to relate some of my own issues with problems that you have had in your life. I hope that I have opened your mind to think a little bit differently about how communication works in your life and whether you could open up even a little bit more. I would also like to mention that some people truly believe that they do not have anybody in their life to communicate with. I will say for the people who are watching this video in particular, that is not the case. I would like to offer myself as an open book, and my DMs and private messages on all social media forums are always open for you to talk to me about whatever issues you are having in your life. I would like to be that shoulder to lean on for somebody else. There are also a myriad of free and near free counseling services available online to help you talk to somebody who may be able to help you through your issues a little bit better than I can. I would also like to touch on the fact that if you are at all contemplating suicide or know somebody who has said that they are contemplating suicide, that the first step is to call the National Hotline for Suicide Recovery. The National Suicide Hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. Life is too beautiful to do this on your own, so please reach out if you're feeling like you need to. I think that open communication is something that everybody in this world could benefit from. So that's all I have to say today about the subject of communication and how it has made my life much better throughout the years. I would love to hear about instances where you effectively used communication to get through a tough period in your life in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and share it across social media so that way my video can reach even more people. And if you want to hear me talk every single week about different things that are important to me, hit that subscription button and notification bell so that way you make sure you know every single time I upload a video. Thanks for watching and take care.